Today I have a gift. It's not really a gift. Well, there is a gift here, this lemming. This is a gift from Carnival Steve, Somerset Carnivals and Adventures. If you've not seen Somerset Carnivals, then I'm going to say that you've not seen Carnivals. And he has sent me something. It's kind of on loan for me to just have a look at. Here we go. So this has apparently been his since the beginning of time. Oh, and there it is. So here we go, a Sinclair ZX81. Now, these were from my time, but I don't remember these because my first computer was an Atari 8-bit. And these were probably out before then, but oh my God, this is small. These were very cheap, as far as I know. I think these were like £70, and I think you could buy them as a kit and build them yourself. Has it got a year on it? ZX81 personal computer, just says use of only approved AC adapter, patent pending, made in the UK. Still got the rubber feet, they haven't gone sticky, and it's very, very small. That is a really small thing. Oh my God, this keyboard, what? I mean, this thing was built to a price. These keys actually work, do they? You can barely tell that you're pressing them. Wow. That is crazy. And what have we got on the side? We've got RF out, ear, mic, and 9 volts AC, DC. And that is a good point, actually. He's also sent me the power supply, which just looks like a normal linear supply. It's 9 volts DC. It's got a 3.5mm jack on there. I mean, I can see why they've done this because it's quite clearly like they've used some 3.5mm jacks there, so they thought, let's just put another one on for the power. And obviously you could probably plug the power into the earphone, could you? Yeah, you could. Or into the microphone port. I don't know what happens if you do that. You might blow the whole thing up, but we'll test that this is producing 9 volts before I power it on. I think my biggest problem with this is going to be they've only got RF out. I don't even have anything that's got RF anymore. Well, I say I don't have anything. What I do have, and I don't know if this is going to work, is I have a video recorder. And I saw Retro RGB the other day, there was a video and they said, hey, if you want to get composite out, just get an old video recorder and you can turn your RF into composite with a video recorder. Now I've had a look, mine doesn't have a composite out, it's only got SCART out. So I'm gonna have to see. So first things first, oh look at this as well. This is the RF cable that came with it. This looks so thin. I mean, it's got some gunk on it. I don't know, that's probably from being stored somewhere. It's got like sticky tape or something on it, but it's so thin and crappy. Wow. I mean, this is the Sinclair way though, isn't it? It's like Commodore was cheap, but this thing is like totally built to a price. But it's so small. But yeah, I think they sold over 1 million of these, so like this is very popular for its day. Look at this guy as well. This is so cool. A little crocheted lemming. Little floater. I've got other ones as well. I've got the blocker. That's pretty cool. Right, let's get the multimeter on this and let's just make sure it's producing 9 volts. I don't have anything that's got that. I might have a universal power supply somewhere, but if this one works, well, at least, well, let's just turn it on and make sure my power doesn't go off. What are we going to get? 15 volts? Are you, what? Oh, is that on AC? No, that's on DC. What? Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be 9 volts. Okay. So we might be off to a false start on this already because this power supply, I mean, unless it's just because it's not, I mean, maybe it's because it's not loaded, but I don't fancy plugging this in. Yeah, I am getting 15 volts from that, but that doesn't seem so great, does it? I wonder if I've got an alternative that's supposedly producing actual 9 volts. If it's a switching supply, it might be giving out false voltage range, but I think it'd give less, not more. So I've got the funny feeling that this might have drifted and it's producing way too much voltage. So I've got this little universal power supply thing that you can set to whatever you want. I can set this to 9 volts. I don't think this has actually got a 3.5-inch jack on it though, but we can test that this is actually going to produce 9 volts. This doesn't have a 3.5-inch jack, but what it does have, it's got a little thing where I can actually just screw a cable in. So maybe I could cut apart a mono 3.5mm jack and put that into it and make sure it's producing the same polarity as this one. Yeah, so like I said, it's possible that it's producing 15 volts because it's not loaded, which I might expect it to produce a little bit more. Let's see what this one does. This one is producing 9 volts. Okay, so I'm gonna actually I'm gonna wire. I'm not gonna cut this one up because it's not my power supply. But I'm gonna see if I've got a 3.5mm mono jack, and I'm gonna wire it up, and I'm gonna try and get the same polarity. I have no idea what the polarity is on this. That lead there, the fat part, the fat ring, is gonna be the negative. Yeah. So it's producing 15 volts. Like that. So that's, no, we don't want 15 volts. So I've found this 3.5mm lead. Well, it's got a 3.5mm jack on it. It goes to a phono lead. It looks about as flimsy as the original. In fact, it's actually thicker, but that might just be insulation. So hopefully it'll be able to carry enough current. The only problem is it's stereo instead of mono. So don't know if that's going to cause a problem. Probably not. I'll just have to wire those two together. So I'll snip this off. And I'm just gonna connect this up, and we'll see if I can get it producing the right voltage. So I'll just leave I'll leave quite a bit of lead on that. Snip this off here, and then I'm just gonna do some wiring, and I'm gonna wire this into here, and I'll get back to you when that's wired in. I've wired this jack in now to the new power supply, and if I get this right, there is, hang on. So the 2 rings down there are wired to ground, and that one is wired to the hot 9 volts. So it's 9.22 volts. And yeah, even if I touch it there, it's 9.22 volts. The only problem with this might be is that the tip here is wired in with just one of the wires in this cable, which is quite thin. So I don't know if its current carrying capabilities are going to be correct for this. So I'll just have to make sure it's not getting hot while I do it. But either way, it's producing the correct voltage. And if it doesn't produce enough current, then hopefully we should be all right. So that's what I'm going to use to power it. Hopefully that'll be better than the 15 volts in here. So yeah, I'm just going to try this out. 9 volts. So I don't think it's got any kind of, I don't think it's got a power light. So I'm not even going to know if it's on. So let's just give it a very quick test. Is the power on this? Right, 9.22 volts. Let's make sure we plug this in the right spot. 9 volts DC is this one here, and there we go. And there is no lights or anything. It's super cheap, so I've not even got any clue if that's on. So I might as well unplug that, and then we'll get the video recorder out, and I'll see if I can get a signal out of this thing. So what I'm going to do is plug this into a video recorder through the RF out, and then I'm going to plug the video recorder via RGB into an ISSC, which is going to then go into a capture card, which might come out in OBS. And if it does, then we've got a working computer. So what I've got, I can't show it to you because it's so big. It's so big. It's a Toshiba. Oh wow, I'm going to have to move the camera or something. It's a Toshiba one. It's got somebody's put a sticker Studio One. So I'll power this on, and we'll hook up the crappy cable that got given to us by Carnival Steve, Somerset Carnivals and Adventures. What a super jank setup I've got going on. I'm going to turn the cameras off, and I'm going to see if I can get this video recorder to actually output a signal. Let's make sure nothing's shorted. I'm going to stick this in the correct port, and hopefully we're going to get a picture. Let's see. And I get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Right, a Commodore 64 through the RF port. And it doesn't show up either. What's the deal? What is the deal? At least this has got a power light, so I know it's on. So after much messing about, and thanks to some of the people on my live stream for suggesting, because I've got an old TV that's actually got an RF input, and I thought it was digital only, but actually it accepts analog as well, because the TV's quite old. And I've hooked up a Commodore 64 here, and there it is in all its glory. So I've tuned the TV into the Commodore 64 just to make sure I've got something that works. And now I should be able to try the ZX81. Let me just check the voltage on this thing. So yeah, I did check it before, but I'm just checking it again. So there's no on switch on this thing, so I'm just going to point it at the TV and then we'll see what we get. So the power is going in. Uh-oh, wait for it. Power's going in now. And I got nothing. It did change. That's probably just because the unit got grounded. So I'm still not getting anywhere with this thing. Like, I can get a Commodore 64, but I can't get this. There was something there then. I don't know what that was. I could see something. There's something there. Yeah, it looks like there's an image there somewhere. Is it the ZX81 though? So I think it's on, but I just can't tell. Oh, what's that? What is that? That's something. What is this? It has locked onto something there. That's what I had it on the Commodore 64. That is it, isn't it? Yeah, there's something going on there. It's on. The screen's changing when I press a key. Let me just unplug it. Yeah, it's on, but look at it. It's ridiculous. So typing is producing like something to appear on the screen. I don't know. It looks like it's on anyway. So maybe it's time to open it up and start probing around and seeing if we can find the composite signal or the luminance signal in this case. I think it's black and white. And seeing if we can actually just get a composite output from it instead. Because this is truly awful. It could also be that my power supply cable is not good enough. So that might be something I've got to adjust. Maybe it's not, maybe the computer is actually malfunctioning here, I'm not sure. Maybe it's not getting enough current. That might be the first thing to try actually, just to get a decent power cable and make sure it's not that. But at least I'm getting something now. I'm getting an image of something. So it's actually a couple of days later and I made my little pigtail for the power adapter just in case that was going to actually affect the current that the ZX81 was getting, and it didn't seem to make any difference, just get the same result. So it's time to crack this baby open, find out what's inside. So I am a bit wary of opening this because it's not actually mine and there is a good chance, well, I know that this keyboard is connected with a ribbon cable, like the horrible style ribbon cables they use in the Amiga and stuff like that. And it is likely to break, but if we want to get anything out of this thing, we're going to have to open it up. So we'll just have to take what we can get with that and see what we do. Now I know I did look at some other people's teardowns. There's 2 screws here, but there is also, are they actually Phillips screws? Yeah, they are. So there's 2 in there, and then there's 3 others that are underneath the feet. So we're going to have to prise 3 of the feet off. There's no screw under that one because they obviously thought they didn't need it because they've got these 2 here. So let's pry these feet off. Fortunately, you've got to come off. There it is. Oh, that's okay. They don't come off too hard. It's hard to see this thing on the camera just because everything's black. Ooh, sticky. So we can stick those back on. They've just got some double-sided sticky tape on them. Looks like all the screws are the same. That would make sense for Sinclair to use. Oh no, they're not the same. The top 2 are shorter. was going to say Sinclair would probably use the same screws in everywhere they could, but obviously they couldn't fit these longer screws in the front, so I need to remember that those short screws go in the front. Right, here we go. So, well, it's reasonably clean inside. There's not much going on there. Let's put the wrist strap on so I don't destroy anything. Look at that hand laid out board. It's Sinclair issue 1, 1980. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Is this like a really old version of it? And this is the heatsink for the 5-volt regulator. How does this come out? What's holding it in there? Oh, there it is. There's one screw there. I was thinking something's holding that in there. And that is the same screw that's on the front, is it? Or have they put a different one on? It looks very much the same. Okay, here we go. Is this going to come out? Oh no, there's another one. So for the record, screw there and screw there. There's lots of little holes. They must be screwed in from the bottom. What are we going to get? Right, this is going to be difficult to show on camera. Oh my word, look at this ribbon adapter here. It's like 2 ribbons in one. So this is the bit I don't like. I'm just going to have to pull these out, I'm afraid. And we'll see what we get. Hopefully it's not going to break. That came out quite cleanly. What is this? It's 2 ribbons in one. That is really strange. Right, hopefully they'll go back in without any damage. The keyboard did seem to be doing something before, but I'm not sure. Look at this. Look how teeny tiny it is. So what have we got? We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chips. That's all they put in it. It's got this 5-volt regulator here, 7805, with this giant heatsink, which is just a piece of metal. I suppose that's going to work. Hell of that space in the case. Looks like it has, I think there's space for a power switch there that isn't installed because they just didn't put one in. So that's interesting. And look how they've jam-packed this capacitor in there. That is... Oh, they've jam-packed a resistor and a capacitor in the same holes, have they? Or not? I don't know. These are probably RAM. I would say they're 4-bit RAM, probably. So you get 2 of them, and you just get 1 kilobyte. That says Zilog, so that's probably the processor. Zilog Z8400A, Z80A, so that is the CPU. There we go. Sinclair Research, that's probably the ROM. 1981 date on that. There's a 1982 date on that one. 8208. This one's got 8206. And Ferranti chip there, that's going to be the chip that does everything. So that is basically organising the graphics. I think it does the sound as well and the tape drive or whatever, or the listening for the tape. And there we go. So it's incredibly simple. And I think, as far as I know, this could be wrong, but I think this is static RAM. So it doesn't require any refreshing, so that's why there's a lot, well, they didn't need that many components in here. Weird that they've gone with this dual connector thing there. That's very strange. So first thing I could do is probably just measure the 5-volt regulator and make sure it's good, and make sure it's producing 5 volts. So I'm using this Meanwhile power supply with my pigtail adapter, which is just giving it 9 volts. Let's make sure we plug it in the right hole. It's this one down here. So silly that is, so silly. Goes in there. Right, let's see what we get. Let's just make sure this regulator is regulating. Okay, so that's 9 volts. And that one, 4.958. So it is regulating. The 5-volt regulator is regulating. I don't think this thing uses 9 volts at all. I think you can just plug a 5-volt supply into it. I'd have to check, but I don't know where else the 9 volts goes. What we really want to do is we want to create a mod to get composite out of this instead of the RF out, because it's no good to us, it's difficult to use in this day and age, and it doesn't look very good. So apparently it's not too hard to mod, but it kind of depends. I mean, we might break out the oscilloscope here and have a look to see if we can see the signal that's going, the video signal that's going in. The video signal, I think, is this one here. So that should be the video signal in. So we could have a look at that on the oscilloscope and see if we can see some kind of video signal that'll tell us that this thing is producing it, because I'm not seeing it. Yeah, so that's the worst camera angle ever, but it does look like we are getting some kind of signal there. It looks like that blip there is probably the sync, and it's probably not displaying very much here, so there's probably not much on the screen right now, and that's why we're just seeing the blip for what I think is the sync. So I think that is the video signal. So it's definitely trying to do something. We've also got 5 volts here, I think. I think this is the 5 volts in, and it is. This case should be ground, which it is. So we've got a ground, we've got a 5 volts, and we've got our video signal, and that's what we need to get the composite out. The instructions that I'm reading saying this transistor mod is enough most of the time for great picture on the ZX80 or ZX81. Should only work on the ZX81 equipped with a 2C2 10E ULA. And this is a 2C1 84E, so that is not the same thing. Oh, but I got the same output with a 2C1 84E. Okay, so that's what I've got here, 2C1 84E. So they said it worked with this one. So what we need for this mod is just a transistor and a couple of resistors, that's all. So it's what kind of, well, the transistor they use is a 2N3904, which I happen to have here. You could probably use a different one, but that's the one they've used, and I've got some here. So 2N3904 transistor, and a couple of, I need a 100 ohm resistor and possibly a couple of other ones as well. And this mod needs to go inside this RF modulator, because we're going to cut the output and we're going to use the output from that. We're going to change that output there into the composite output. So let me get this case off without cutting myself, hopefully. Hey, there we go. And I didn't cut myself, I think. But it's pretty sharp. Right, this is pretty small in here, but we've got to jam our stuff into here somehow. The video output's going to get wired onto that center pin there. And we've got the 5 volts coming in here. Oh, it's right down in there though, so that's pretty inconvenient. We've got to solder onto that 5 volts down there. So the base is going to be the video signal, which is going to come in there. We're going to send the 5 volts into the collector from there. And then we need a ground output, and the video output are going to go out through the emitter. And we need a couple of resistors in there as well, probably. And we've got to jam pack it all in here. It's going to be jam packed. But that's the job. Get this transistor and a couple of resistors bodged into here so we can get video output onto there. So that didn't take too long. I've just wired in the resistor. It all looks a bit bodgy. Well, I suppose it is a bodge actually. A bit bodgy, but I've wired in the transistor there with a 100 ohm resistor to ground there. And the person who did the mod said they did put a resistor there to lower the current, but it said try it without it first and see what brightness you get. So in theory that's all wired up correctly, but I haven't put a second resistor there. I've just got one going to ground. And I've checked that none of these are shorted against each other. So I'm hoping this is okay. So I've got it hooked up to capture, and I'm going to start capturing now. And make sure there's nothing on the desk. So I've got a little composite output here with a capture on it. Oh, look at that, gold plated, as if we're going to need that. Okay. And I get no signal. No signal at all. So, what's going on there? Okay, that's a mega fail. The little composite box that I've got needs USB power. So let me plug that in before we carry on any further. That is such a fail. I've just got so many things to plug in here. It's like hard to remember what to do, especially as I'm recording at the same time. I've just got millions and millions of things. Okay, that's different now because we're getting a black screen on the capture box. So it is syncing to it. Yeah, a blue screen. That's what we wanted to see. Let's see if it can sync to that. And the answer is no. Oh! Yeah, it has synced to it, but it's all white. Whoa, what's this flickering? Is this a dodgy cable? So, something's going on there. Oh, is that the... Did we just see a cursor there for a second? There's something really... So maybe the output is too bright, so... Oh, and it's lost sync. Let's try putting that resistor in because maybe that's just the output is too bright there. Okay, what I've done this time, this looks terrible, but I've actually soldered in two 10 ohm resistors into there, in that space where I just had the jumper, to try and limit the current, to see if that works. I didn't have, it recommends, well, the person who's done the mod is using an 18 or a 33 ohm, and I don't have either of those, so I've just done 20 ohms in series there, and we'll see how that goes. Let's just hook this in, and let's hit the power, and let's see what we get. And still getting this white screen. Oh, there's something there. Oh, I think I can see a cursor. Something very crazy going on. Let me try a different capture device. It's lost sync there. Let me try a different capture device, and let's see if I have any better results with that. This is the super crappy box. It's the one I used to stream with, actually. The ones with loads of lag on it. Let's see if that has any better luck syncing to it. It's not real composite signal, this. It's... Oh. So it gets something. This one's different. This one's like a black screen. Oh, wait a minute. No, is that working? Wait for this stupid logo to go off. Yeah, there it is. That's my video signal. It's really hard to see, but there's a K on the screen. There is actually a K on the screen just there. That is a composite video signal. So the other box can't pick that up. So I wonder if I've made it too dim, because that looks really dim. I wonder if I've made it too dim with these resistors now. So I'll change those now, and then I'll get back to you when it goes. But yeah, there's definitely a K on the screen there. That is the first time I've seen the video output from this thing. It's amazing. Right, let me try and fix this mod, and we'll see where we get to. So I've got a better picture now, but I've got the K up, but the K is like flashing a little bit yellow. I tried it with no resistor and it was the same. I've just put a 10 ohm in here, and it's still, oh, it just got a better sync there. So it's not really very happy with the picture. It's not syncing properly. So it's just resynced there, and suddenly the picture's okay. So I'm wondering if actually this output is a bit too hot for it and it doesn't like it. If this thing will go away, it just takes ages. There we go. That's perfect now. So it suddenly was syncing correctly to it. Is it going to be stable though? So that's just got a 10 ohm resistor in there. That looks good, but a moment ago that was like real, had horrible yellow fringing on, and then it resynced and suddenly it was like, I'm okay with this now. I don't know if it should just stick with the 10 ohm for now. It's all kind of botched in because it's sticking out. So maybe I'll go with this and I'll close it up and we'll try and get this thing just running. But the other capture box, this one that I've got here, didn't want to sync to it at all. But this one, I've got the rubbish one. The one with loads of lag does, but I mean, it's perfect for this kind of thing because it's just black and white. And who cares about the lag on a ZX81 at this point? Unless you're playing some games, who knows? Right, I'm quite happy with that. So, but I need to get this thing in without the without this resistor sticking on. Let me just power cycle it, and let's see what it does. Yeah, so there's the yellow. Oh, and now it's synced up properly. And hopefully that's stable. So it's just got a 10 ohm resistor there. Try and limit some current. But I don't know, I think that looks all right. So I'll go with that. I'll put it back together with this 10 ohm resistor in there. And I've got a picture, finally, with just a K on the screen. That's all I've got. Right, let me turn the cameras off. I'm going to reapply this mod so it fits inside the case, and I'm going to try and reassemble it. So the mod's been installed and it looks like it's working. It's completely out of spec because the output that's coming out of here is way higher than it needs to be. I think the composite output should be about 1 volt peak to peak, and it's generating about 3 volts peak to peak, which is too much. But it seems to be that the TV that I've got and the capture box that I've got can actually capture this quite well. And I don't know if you saw on the time lapse, but I was actually just checking all the keys, and all the keys seem to work as well. So this could do with a better mod that doesn't produce as high an output on here, and I might have to try and figure that out. But at the moment, it's basically working and it looks pretty good. So if I do, and I've been working this out previously actually, but I can do print there. I just press the P key and it actually does print because it's got this shortcut system. And if I say hello, it's really awful to type on though, unfortunately. If I say hello and press new line there, I actually get a hello on the screen. I don't know what that 0/0 is at the bottom. I think that's something to do with the line that it finished on or something. Maybe some ZX or Sinclair basic expert can tell me what that means. And then I think you press new line and it should... Oh, I didn't actually put a program in then because I didn't put a line number in. But it's put me back to the screen. So that K cursor means it's in shortcut mode. And that means that these keys here, like P has print above it, and it means it's going to do print instead of the P. The red stuff is going to be done with the shift key, and you can do red function, and that gives you the stuff that's below the key. So it's got tons of these shortcuts everywhere, which is quite cool, but not cool if you don't know which key does what shortcut. So, but it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a little bit crazy. So let's just put a little bit of a program in. And I'll just do the classic. So if I do line 10, I just press P, it gives me print. I do open brackets. I'm going to say hello. Hello world. Oh, that's, I used to use shift and 0 for rub out. And, oh, I think I've written over the edge of the screen there. So let's give you a different view. There we go. I think that's better. So, yeah, so I press new line, I get hello, it's listing the program, and then if I do 20, and I can just press G for go to, and it puts the space and then the go to, and I'll put line 10. And there's my full program so far, and pressing R is a shortcut for run. So doing that, and I get my hello world. And it seems to stop, it doesn't continuously run like it would on the Commodore 64. I don't know why that is, and it says 5 out of 10, which I think is like, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, it's something about the line numbers that it's stopped on, because it seems to have stopped the program now the screen's been filled. So that's a bit odd. And if I just press enter, it just goes back to listing the program. So it's quite good. So it's actually working. It is monumentally slow. You can see how slow it actually like updated the screen there. It was quite slow. And I was trying out some things before. So I just put like a line 15 and I can say let I equal 5. So I'm just assigning a variable to 5 at line 15. And if I run this now, oh no, that's the same speed. I think I actually printed out the value as well. So if I do 17 print, and I'll print the I out. So it's got to convert that 5 to a string and then print that on the screen. And if I run that, and it's so slow, and it's just converting the 5 to a piece of text. It's so monumentally slow. Couldn't believe it when I saw that. I mean, to be honest, if I had this in 1981, I'd be so impressed with it. But really, it's like possibly the slowest BASIC that ever existed. So if I get rid of that line 15, and I'll make line 5 assign the variable. So I'll do let I equals 5. And then on line 18, oops, that's not right. On line 18, I'll decrement that variable. Let I equal I minus 1. I find it so hard to type on here. So that should print hello world, print the number 5, decrement 5, and then go around and do that again. So if I run that, it's doing hello world 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and then it properly goes to negative numbers. So it's worked that out, but it's really slow. I mean, how slow is that? That is so... It seemed to go a bit faster when it got to 0. Did you notice that? Goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And the 0 is really quick. So it must have a special case for printing out a 0. That's really funny. So completely variable speed as well, which is like amazing. But it works. I mean, the whole thing's working. I mean, the video output's not great on this because it's just completely non-standard. Sometimes you get color fringing. Sometimes the brightness likes to change. I've got a little converter box here that it just doesn't want to work with. This just produces a white screen. So I need a way to lower the voltage in this, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that right now without destroying it. I could get a different video converter, but this is really good. So I believe there's also, let's get rid of the line 20. Let's go for 1. Oh, let's make that line 100. Go to 10. I think there's actually there's a plot function as well. And I was looking at this before, so I could plot I, and then I think you do a comma I. So that should plot the point. It'll start at the point 5, 5, and then it'll do 4, 4, then 3, 3. I don't know what this is going to do. It might crash it. I don't know. So let's just run that and see what that does. Oh, I didn't know it was going to. It's actually put the cursor down there. So it's printed, or it's plotted at a particular point, and then the cursor's there. So the hello world appeared there as well. That's weird. So let's change that line 5. So I've never done any Sinclair Basic before, but this is, well, until yesterday when I had a go at this. There we go. That's quite cool. So I managed to plot a little thing. When it got to 4, it just stopped. And it says 517. Is that the line? 17's got to be the line. Is it the character and the line that it stopped on? Something like that. That feels like that's what it is. But hey, I wrote a Sinclair Basic program. Not a very good one, but I wrote one. And it's working. So I'm not going to mess about with the video output on here. I do want to try and just lower the voltage on this output. I want it to look like this, but just be more compliant. So that's really what I want. But this thing is working quite well. I can get the picture out of it. It seems to be working fine. Keyboard was completely working, even though it's absolutely horrible to type on. But here it is. It's the world's slowest BASIC, I believe, but it's working on a 1981, or maybe this was a 1980 computer. And it was a computer that you could buy for about £50 in the UK if you wanted to build it yourself. And I think it was £70 if it came assembled like this. But if I had one of these in 1980, I'd probably sit here for days, like writing little programs like this and figuring out what you can do with it. It looks like it's got random numbers. It says like sign and cos on here and stuff like that. So who knows what it can do? I mean, monumentally slow would have been the fastest I'd ever seen if I looked at this in 1980. So that would have been so cool to see it. But here it is. So it's the Sinclair ZX81. First time I've done a Sinclair thing on my channel, and maybe the first time I've ever really properly used a Sinclair computer at all. I never really used one back in the day. I never had a Spectrum or anything like that. But this is such a cool little computer that I would have loved one of these when, you know, if it was before 1982 and before the Commodore 64 came out, or maybe even before the VIC-20, you know, to have one of these for £50 would have been so cool. Absolutely cool. But there it is. It's the Sinclair ZX81. And I've got the video output working on it, and I've managed to write a program that does something a little bit crazy, but it works, and it's slow. Right, I'll catch you in the next video where there may or may not be more or less Sinclair things, who knows. Oh, and thanks to Carnival Steve's Somerset Carnivals and Adventures for loaning me the ZX81 and allowing me to mod it and put it all on the channel. This is going to go back to him, and yeah, thanks very much for sending me that. And hopefully when it comes back to you, we'll have you'll be able to actually, you know, plug it into something and use it rather than having to dig out an old RF modulator somewhere. But I'll try and improve this mod for you. But yeah, thanks very much for sending that in. And go and check out Carnival Steve's channel if you're into carnivals. And even if you're not, you will be into carnivals after you've seen the carnivals. Trust me.